Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Welcome, everyone. It is Friday night, and you are listening to Paranormal Review Radio with your hosts, Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Luci Leapfreak from Chicago. Are you ready for another Paranormal Friday night? We are so happy that you can join us tonight. We welcome all of our regular listeners and those of you who have tuned in for the very first time. Now, if you have a question or you want to add to the topic tonight, feel free to ask us in the chat room or call into the show at 661-244-9831. We'll try to get to you as soon as we can. And don't forget, you can always send us an email with future topics that you'd like to see on the show or just want to say hi. Our email address is paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com. And last but not least, check us out on our Facebook show page and our YouTube channel for more information on the paranormal and upcoming shows.
You know, tonight we have a very special show for you. So, Lucy, do we have a guest?
No.
Do we have any questions?
No.
Do we have an agenda?
No.
Okay. Tonight's show is called Paranormal Open Discussion. We are opening our phone lines, our chat room, and our email to you, the listener. Lucy and I want you to pick the topic, ask the questions, and open the discussion on anything paranormal. Have you ever had an experience that you just can't explain? Afraid to talk about the paranormal with your friends or family? Or maybe you liked one of our previous shows and want to talk more about it. Then let us know. We are giving everyone three options to voice their ideas tonight. You can call us directly on the air at 661-244-9831. You can also type in the Blog Talk chat room, or you can email us at paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com. Lucy and I will be posting these options throughout the night in the chat room, and we will be repeating it during the night just to remind everybody. So in order for us to get the ball rolling, Lucy and I sort of prepared one mini topic each that you can choose to discuss with us further or state your own thing. It's up to you. And since this is radio, we will bring up our topics until we see the topics and questions come through in all the other option areas from you. We have 2 full hours just for you and whatever is on your paranormal mind. So let's get started. Lucy, why don't you start with giving everyone just a brief general overview of what you would like to offer up for discussion, and then I'm going to do the same.
Okay. Well, this week, going through the web and, looking for paranormal stories and stuff like that, I came across in the Huffington Post, and this was posted again on June 21st, actually earlier today. And the story is a haunted mirror sells for $155 on eBay, which I thought, okay, people put stuff on eBay all the time. But when you read this article, the article itself, the description of this mirror, actually even says they're not sure if it's haunted. But yet, these people are posting, they're listing an antique mirror, they're selling it, they got $155 for it, and there's no real proof that this is haunted. So I got to thinking, okay, good scam if you can pull it off. And I started looking online for other stuff, other items that come across the board. And I was really amazed when I started looking at the list of so-called haunted items that are being posted for sale. It's like, okay, it's one thing when you're going to investigate and you've got your experience, but when people start selling stuff, how can you really be sure of what you're getting? I mean, are these really, truly deals, or are they just scams? So I just wanted to kind of like...
Luci, on your research, when you were looking at these online, these objects and artifacts that they're selling as being haunted, have they given up any sort of validity or accreditation to the fact that it's haunted, or are they just saying that these objects are haunted?
On most of them, it's just like a brief description. I really didn't find anything that has any kind of proof. Now, there is a listing for a haunted trailer, which is in Michigan, and they only want $4,900 for it. So, and according to them, their listing claims, paranormal experiences by several witnesses. Of course, they don't list the witnesses, but they're saying that it's documented in articles and books. There's a book that talks about it. Nothing, there's nothing like it's been seen on TV or anything like that. But it's just so weird. I mean, it's like, okay, how do you really know? Now, this one, some of the claims, witnesses have experienced, they're saying they got orbs, there's knocking on doors, the sounds of doors opening and closing, the bed mattress vibrates, the blankets are pulled off the bed, and they're saying that there's other events that happen. So, $4,900 right now is a lot of money. I mean, I don't know. Some of the other things that I found, there's there's a Bible that is allegedly from Chillingham Castle. That one goes for $475. Again, this one doesn't even mention any activity associated with the item. There's tons of dolls. There's a clown doll, $450. And when you're looking at these descriptions, a lot of them don't say that there's activity. Now, the one that I found the funniest and really, really, it's like there's a listing for a haunted ovulus, and they want $300 on this. And there's this big disclaimer, don't bid on something you're unsure of. And they say it may be haunted because of some of the unusual responses received. Okay, we're talking about an ovulus here. I mean, no matter what, when you take it to a location, of course you're going to get responses if there's activity. But for some reason, these people seem to think that the actual ovulus is haunted. Don't say anything about, any other activity except that I got some weird responses out of it. And that wasn't the only one. I mean, there was a couple ovuluses on sale, and these people are asking for $300. There's a toothpick holder from the Amityville house. Now, this one, they do say has a certificate of authenticity. They don't show it to you, but I really would be curious to see who signed off on it. And how do you get a certificate of authenticity on something, on an item from the Amityville house? That one's only $300. The baby dolls, you've got baby dolls that go from $450, $150. There is a painting of St. Teresa, and it makes the EMF detector go off, and it emits light. Another interesting one was, my personal favorite, is a haunted Budweiser mirror, and that's only going for $79.99. Now, the story behind that one is that it was in a bar, and there was a murder that happened in the bar, and because of this situation, supposedly the Budweiser mirror is haunted. Now, they don't give you a listing of what the activity is, but I just thought, okay, that one I almost thought that possibly could be true because, as I'm thinking, okay, something negative happens in a situation, the energy probably could be absorbed by items. but I'm still thinking, eBay, posting something. Let's see, what else did I find?
Well, Luci, before you get into specifics, I just wanted to give out the general synopsis, and then once we have people who want to discuss it, then we can get into some of the specific stories. But what's your general question, I guess, out there for our listeners? What's the debate that you want to get going on this topic?
I want to know if people really would actually buy something that's listed online as a haunted item. And then the second part of that is, why would you buy a haunted item? I mean, if something's got activity, if something's got something attached to it, is it really, I don't want to say is it really smart, but is it really a good idea to bring something like that into your own home? That's the biggest question that I had.
I have a couple of sort of slanted, maybe on the other side of the fence, arguments on this to be able to debate it and to discuss it further. I won't give them out now. I actually have two good ones, two good points to bring up on this topic. So I guess your question then to everybody is whether or not would they buy something online that is stated as being haunted, and why would they do it? Why would they purchase something that's haunted?
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I don't get. I don't get buying something that you can't actually physically go and see, because a lot of these seem to be listed in different areas of the country. And I guess really the biggest question I have is why? Why would you want to buy something that's haunted? I don't get it.
Okay. So if anybody wants to talk about this topic, maybe give their opinion as to whether or not maybe you guys have bought something online that is supposedly haunted, or you're thinking about it, or you've seen it and you have an opinion about this topic, give us a call at 661-244-9831. You can also put the question in the chat room, or you can send us an email at paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com. That's a good topic, Luci.
Well, I just thought it was kind of weird. I mean, it was like, okay, I mean, if it's a scam, then obviously they are making money from it, because it looks like that some of the items were still sitting there, and some of the items definitely did go. So first, I'm thinking, okay, well, if I really had something that was haunted, would I want to sell it? How do I prove it to someone? And then if I do have something that isn't, that kind of isn't, that I don't really have documentation, like some of them listed, wouldn't you feel guilty? I mean, I know there's scammers out there. I know there's scammers all over the place. But it just seemed kind of weird.
Okay. That's a fair debate, I think. I think that's a good topic to bring up. I think it covers a lot, especially because I'm thinking of a couple of things that I can further discuss this with and possibly put a little twist to it. So I'm excited and curious to see what other people like. Here, let me pose a question to you, Luci. Would you buy something online that is haunted?
I almost bought a haunted bracelet.
See, there you go. There you go.
And that was only because I really liked the bracelet. It didn't have anything to do with the haunting. It was, it was a sterling silver. It was antique. And it was more the fact that I really liked the jewelry as opposed to the fact that it was haunted. Personally, other than that, I don't think, other than maybe something like the trailer. If it was like a known, like a building or a known haunted location, and I could afford it, heck yeah, I would buy it. But as far as a mirror, okay, this mirror is haunted, I don't think I would. I really don't. I don't think I want to open that door. Now, another thing that I was thinking of, too, I mean, of course, this brought up the thought of haunted collector. How John Zaffis, he goes into homes and he takes the item out of the house, I can see that. Now, I'm hoping, I don't know for sure, that no money crosses hands or anything like that. I'm thinking that he's doing this as a service and, of course, for his show to get this item out of the person's house. But I think the thing that really bothered me about this whole thing is just the thought of someone selling and making a profit. I don't know. There's like a whole website devoted to haunted dolls, and each doll has a little description and this, and I get it. I really get it. It's a business, and if you can sell something, everybody's got a gimmick, everybody wants to make money. But I think I'm questioning the karma about it, maybe the thinking behind it. I mean, is it a good thing to really sell something that's haunted?
Well, that was one of my points that I was going to bring up, and actually within the last 2 minutes I brought up 2 more points. But yeah, that was one of my questions. I mean, why would somebody sell something that is haunted? Why would you obviously you don't want the item. Either you're not into the paranormal or you may possibly be afraid of whatever this item is bringing forth in your home, in your location, and to you personally. Why would you pass that on to somebody else? Why would you want to give it to somebody else and have them, experience whatever it is that you've been experiencing? So it kind of puts the question in my mind as to what is in the mind of the seller and why would they think to do that?
Mhm. I mean, and it reminded me of the Diddlerbox story. Remember how they were saying that it was listed on
Lucy,
eBay?
you are hitting on every topic that I have. I can't stand you. You're in my head.
See, you're in my head too. You know everything that I was thinking about.
I should take a picture of my notes because I have Jason Haxton, haunted locations, John Zaffis, and why would people sell it if it's haunted? Okay, end of show. Good night, everybody.
Well, we've had a demonstration of psychic ability and transferring thoughts.
Mhm.
But no, seriously, the Diddlerbox, okay, how they had it listed, and I never really got why the first guy ever decided to buy this thing. This is listed. Okay, so I want to have something haunted. What is it? Would you buy it like as a conversation piece? I mean, would you buy it as part of research? I mean, I really don't understand that, and I'm really curious to see how anyone can justify, I don't want to say justify, how anyone can make a rational argument for buying a haunted item. So that's what I think I really want to know. First, I want to know, would people actually go out and buy something that's listed as haunted?
All right, so you made a good case, and like I mentioned earlier, if you guys out there who are listening want to further the discussion on Lucy's topic, which is haunted objects or artifacts. Is it a steal or a scam? Is it something that you would do? Do you know anybody? Or if you had done this previously, purchased a quote-unquote haunted item off of eBay or anywhere else, if you purchased an item that is stated as being haunted, we want to know why. We want to know what the reason was for it and whether or not you have an opinion on it at all. If this is something that you would not want to do or can't stand to see that online when you are visiting websites and you see this, give us your opinion. Give us a call at 661-244-9831, or if you'd like, just post it in the chat room, and we will continue the discussion on it. So, Lucy, do you want me to get on to my topic now?
Well, Lou just posted something about because they do not know what they may have to deal with. And I did think about that, too. That's just one other point that I wanted to bring up. I mean, is this something that maybe a person who doesn't know that much about, paranormal attachments, about spirits and the other side, is this something that they're opening themselves up to? And that goes back to the guilt about the seller. I mean, wouldn't you feel bad if you sold something to someone and brought something negative into their world?
Well, do you also think maybe that this is focusing and being targeted to the younger generation because of the paranormal shows that are out there? People want to connect to that. They want to connect to their heroes, who they call as heroes in the paranormal world, and on the television, on that set, they want to be able to connect. And so the idea of having something that is supposedly haunted in your home, in your bedroom, I think is attracting more of the younger generation because of the fact that they are becoming closer. You know, they may not be able to go out there and investigate and do the things that they see other people doing online or on television. And so maybe this is their closeness that they can get. And if that's what the sellers are targeting at, or if that ends up being most of the buyers out there, then something needs to change. And whether you're scamming them or they are real, I completely think, and I didn't want to give my opinion right now, but I completely think it's totally wrong. Whether it is a scam or it is a legitimate haunted item, both of those areas it is wrong, and it should not be out there because they could be targeting towards the kids. And I have that feeling that that's where it's going at, or the people who are feeling, who are the older generation, who may have that feeling as well, that they want to get into the paranormal world, but obviously they may not have the capabilities to do anything about it. So purchasing something and having something in their home, I can just picture them putting this, this 18th century knife on their desk and putting an EVP recorder, digital recorder next to it, and try to start talking. That's their way of getting that closeness to the paranormal, and I think it's wrong. But I didn't want to get I don't want to talk about my opinion just yet.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, do you want me to talk about mine?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Luci and I have been talking about the topic that I wanted to bring up tonight for a while now, but more intensely, I think, within the last maybe, Luci, 4 or 5 months or so?
Mhm.
Okay, so the idea that we talk about the paranormal and we watch all of the television shows and we read all of the books and, people listen to radio shows online like ours, and mainly my topic is sort of geared towards the die-hard investigators out there, the people that go out to the locations, whether they be residential or commercial, and are surrounded by the paranormal. They are within the depths of the paranormal world itself. And I had this question come up within me. I sort of questioned it. And I started to look online and could not find a whole heck of a lot of information on it. And so my topic is basically, how is the paranormal experience, how has those experiences and encounters impacted your life? Now, I'm not talking about whether or not you went out and created a group, or you read more books, or you do a lot more research, or you've got some education in it. I'm not talking about the impact of that. I'm talking more along the lines of you, as the investigator, have been experiencing it for either 2 days or 20 years, however long that you've been in the field. How has the paranormal truly impacted you, body, mind, and soul? Because to me, I think, and I've noticed a difference in myself since I first started getting heavily involved in the paranormal world, that I noticed much of my thinking and thoughts changed. My beliefs sort of changed, and it's not whether it's good or bad changed. There's sort of been, it's actually been solidified for me in some areas, and then in other areas it sort of opened up more questions. So the idea of how paranormal experiences have impacted your life covers a wide variety of areas, like relationships, your thinking, your beliefs. Could be even physical, like your stress, or even your health. Whether these areas are good or bad, there has been some impact. I can guarantee you, if you talk to any investigator out there, that somehow the paranormal has affected you. And I want to try and find out what has impacted you and what you do. How do you cope with it? How do you reorganize yourself internally and externally to now adapt to this new way of life? I think for me, within maybe the first 6 months to a year, being heavily in investigating, I noticed a complete change in the way of, first off, the way that I was thinking. And it created this sensation that I know I can find answers. I know how to sort of put things together where there isn't a directional sheet. There's no guide. I found that I'm able to open myself up more where I was sort of, not shy, but I was sort of closed off. I never really talked much or never offered my opinions as much. And now, Luci, you can't even shut me up when I'm on the radio. But this whole idea of how the paranormal has affected you, mind, body, and soul, has been fascinating Luci and I for a while now. And I've been trying to do some research on it. And so I figured maybe tonight we can get some real answers from real people. And, because I only have my experiences and the things that I've noticed changing in myself, and good and bad. And so I really want to find out what you guys have gone through. What has, whether it be a UFO encounter, whether it be an apparition or a spirit, or whether it be lesser or greater in those areas, how has it changed you? And I can guarantee you that it has changed you almost on every level that I just spoke about. You may not realize it, but I think if you take a second to sort of step back and think about what you've done over the course of your time within the paranormal community and doing the things that you do in the field, I guarantee you that if you just step back and you look at your life and maybe even jot down on a journal all the things that you have gone through, set aside the actual investigations, but write down the things that you have gone through and think about the things that your beliefs in the world right now, has anything changed? And, it could be that it solidified your religious beliefs. It solidified your belief in humanity and in other people. Or maybe it decreased it, and it's opened up more questions. Maybe it led you in a completely different direction. Maybe your beliefs were in this way on the east, and now they've switched to the west. They've done a complete 180 on you. And you're finding now that possibly being in the field has sort of shaped, or not shaped, but opened up that box in your mind to actually understand reality, to be able to conceptualize the things that are in your environment, and to be able to work with things that you may not have been able to work with before. I guarantee you this topic or this question has been on everybody's mind, but I don't think a lot of people have been thinking about it. I don't know, Luci, have you, since we've been talking about it, have you started to think about that a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. And you know what, I think people do think about it, and I notice it just from the conversations that we have, the posts that we get on our page. I think people think about it, but I don't think that they really talk about it or open up about it. And part of the reason why I do enjoy, doing the show and everything like that, I would like to think that we have given people an outlet to start a discussion about it, to talk about it, to talk about the way that they think about things that happen. Just in the recent I want to say like maybe the last 6 months, I noticed a lot of talk about angels and there's more talk about, religion and the things that people believe in. So I see people starting to open up about it, but I don't think they're quite at the point where they're comfortable really talking, about what these changes are.
And I mean, that is a fascinating side to this topic. I guess what it is sort of breaking out of your shell and being more confident and comfortable enough with the idea that you've experienced something that is either very rare or something that people do not accept freely, and so the act of communicating that to someone else is sort of like a barrier within yourself and within society itself. But I actually have two pieces of but two pieces that I've actually printed up off online. One of them is there's a 2011 paranormal survey report that was done by Rosemary Breen, and she is an author. She's not in the paranormal community, but she's had paranormal experiences happen to her. But her main, I guess, career, job, whatever it is, her main goal in life, or what she does to pay the bills, was basically being an author, an actual business author, and she was an app developer for a bunch of businesses. She lives in Australia, and she had just started a website not too long ago called The Psychic Revolution, and it's a site where that she created to base more of the encounters and the experiences that people have been experiencing, whether you be an investigator or just, plain Jane out there in the world. She has created this website in order to validate the experiences based on statistical information and a little bit of science. And so she's trying to give more credibility to the paranormal world. And that sort of piqued my interest because that's very rare. You don't find many organizations out there that are trying to do this to the community. It's mostly, the investigative groups out there putting forth their evidence, and then you've got the backlash of people and the whole drama and everything else. She went the different direction. She wants to actually validate the community or try and validate the community. So she created this, she did this in 2000, I think it was in 2000, at the end of 2010, I think beginning of 2011, this paranormal survey, and it was how paranormal experiences impact our lives. And what she did was actually give out this questionnaire online to about, I think it was maybe 3,300 people across the globe. And the questions that, the answers that she got from these questions, she put into statistical graphs to show many different varieties or sort of, what's the gender gap? Is it male or female that are experiencing more? The differences between countries. And then she went the gamut of all of the paranormal areas, telekinesis, telekinesis, apparitions, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences. She divvied those up, and the stat reports on each of what people felt about it, how their experiences within those areas and in those fields, how that affected them, and how did it affect them as far as their views on life after death, their relationships within themselves, within friends and family. And it was pretty surprising, the results that she gathered from it. So that was the one piece of information that I have, which I can, sort of expand more on. But the other one that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with my topic tonight, but I got this, it was the website alchemylab.com, and it was in their section of Meaning of the Paranormal, the Alchemy of Planetary Transformation. And Luci, I just want to read this one, it's one very long sentence, that they put at the top of the page of this article, of this piece. It's not an article, it's a piece. I just wanted to say this because this is actually, it's not brain surgery. It's not anything that'll blow your mind, but I love the way that they put this in words. And it says, if we can see through all the mistaken identities, frauds, money-making schemes, rampant egotism, and just plain wishful thinking, there is a surprising core of unexpected truth that cannot be denied in a significant number of paranormal encounters. In fact, these experiences seem to initiate a process waiting to unfold in each of us. I just thought that that was really profound, and I think that sums up pretty much everything that, Luci, you and I are trying to do, and what Rosemary Breen has been doing with her survey and with her website. But that took me aback because I haven't seen anything written like that in, I don't think ever, that sort of gave a good argument to the fact. And they back it up with some really fascinating, I mean, Luci, I should actually send this to you so that you can read this, because it is really fascinating the way that they broke it down. And they're actually talking about the alchemy of paranormal, what it is, the connections that they have in there. And one other bit before I sort of wrap up my little intro to this, instead of calling it paranormal, this group, or the person who's running this site and who has written this piece, calls it exceptional human experiences. I kind of like that.
I like that.
It sort of sums up, I think, all of the areas that you talk about within the paranormal. But I think in today's world, the word paranormal has sort of gotten a negative connotation to it. And with the word exceptional human experiences, it sort of elevates you as the experiencer, but also elevates the actual community, saying that it is an exceptional experience. It's something out of the norm. It is not norm. And so I kind of like that the way that they put these, and they then reference it as EHEs, which is exceptional human experiences. But I have some pieces in here that I wanted to get into a little bit if the topic was discussed further. So if this interests you guys, and I don't know, Luci, do you have an opinion on it?
Well, I've said it before. I have changed so much since we started doing this. I mean, and you briefly touched on it, the confidence that comes, it's very weird. I mean, it's not just the experiences that we have. It's one of the results of the experiences and all of the things that have happened to me personally so far because of, becoming involved in the paranormal. I have to say confidence. Confidence. It has literally changed how I communicate with others, how I can now, things that I've always known, and the paranormal's always been around me. It's always been there. The experiences have always been there. But like most people, I never said anything about it. I never opened up because it just wasn't accepted. I think global acceptance of all of these experiences is increasing, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Okay, but personally, for me, the confidence that it's brought to me, the fact that now that I don't think twice about talking about what I experience and what I think and what I do. I think that's probably one of the biggest gifts I've gotten from being involved in the paranormal.
That's funny because I've never been shy in myself to communicate anything that has ever happened to me. I've always been a weird person. I've been a weird kid. I've been a weird adult. I am continually weird as I speak right now on the radio. I never really cared because I always knew that the afterlife, spirits and apparitions were real. I always knew it. I don't ever remember not believing in the afterlife, in having life after death. I have never had not knowing that. No, that didn't make sense. I've never had the thought that never existed. There was always afterlife to me. And I don't know if it was the way that I was brought up or if it was the things that I saw on television or things that I read, but it's always been in me. And so the fear had never been built up. There's never been that blockage in my brain to say, you shouldn't be saying that. I know when I do talk about it, and when I did when I was younger, people look at me like I'm weird. But I was used to it because I was always weird anyway. So so the idea of talking about it doesn't frighten me at all. I talk now to people who probably I would never have talked about it with. I mean, that's the difference with me. I know who to talk to about things, and I know when to talk to people about it. Some people don't have that filter. I kind of do, because there's a time and place for everything, and you don't just bring it up, in a business meeting, or you don't bring it up at the dinner table when, you're being introduced to, somebody new. It's not something that you give off as the first impression. But it's something that you bring out more when you are comfortable enough with that person, that they're able to receive it, because some people can't receive it. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's the other to be able to be on the other side of your mouth, of your voice, to actually accept it. And you kind of can figure out who those people are. But again, for me, I've never had that handicap where I was never able to talk about these things. I did, and people thought I was crazy, and I didn't care, and I still don't.
Well, there's one thing I think maybe I need to, explain. When I'm saying confidence, it just really brought up a thought. There is one thing that this whole involvement in the paranormal has done for me, and it has taught me forgiveness, and it has taught me to resolve a lot of issues that I had in my life growing up. I think I've mentioned it once before. I'm the child of an alcoholic. Okay, so growing up, you learn to become very, very guarded. Of course, I've never been shy. I've always, been giggly, happy, But there's always been a point where when you grow up in a situation like that, you learn to be guarded. You learn to keep a lot inside. And one of the things that has always bothered me through my adult life was the fact that I never forgave what happened. I never forgave that. Well, needless to say, my mother passed away, and it was unsaid. It wasn't resolved. Through everything I've learned with the paranormal, through learning about the connection to the other side, I've been able to come to terms with the whole situation. I've been able to forgive. I've been able to move forward. And that is something that I will definitely say is a direct result of everything that I've learned, everything that I've experienced, and everything that's happened to me. So for me, yes, it's a very, very personal thing. It's given me the confidence to know that it's not the end. It's not a situation that can't be resolved. Yes, there is a way to resolve the situation. There is a way to forgive. There is a way to move forward. And that is another gift that I've gotten from the paranormal. Now, I know everybody's experience is going to be different, but for me, that's one of the things that really, really has changed my whole life. I mean, I'm happier. I think I'm physically healthier. Just the physical changes in my body. I mean, I am just I look at myself. I look at the pictures of myself now, and I look at the pictures back then, and you can see the difference. I mean, you can physically see the difference. It has helped me to let go a lot of the things that I was carrying around inside me. And I will say it is a definite result of my involvement in the paranormal.
All right, so we've got a couple of callers on the line, which we're going to pick up now, but we have two topics that Luci and I have brought up. Luci's topic was haunted objects. Is it a steal or a scam online? Purchasing haunted objects. What do you think? What are your thoughts? And my topic is, how has the paranormal impacted your life, mind, body, and soul? Excuse me. So give us a call at 661-244-9831, or like we said, just put it in the chat room, and we will bring up your question on the air. Okay, Luci, so let's take the first caller, and I believe this is Lou. Hello, Lou. You are on the air with Anthony and Luci.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
Lou.
What's up?
Hey, I could give you the meaning of life according to Lou.
Okay.
I think that my way of explaining this whole experience in life is that we are all beings of light, and we're here to learn, and that's the purpose in life. Mm-hmm. And as you enter into this life, you are here to learn. In other words, from the lowest form of life up into the highest form of life. And during this process, when you come to this point in the hominid form, from the lower forms, you are you're going to be exposed because of like due process and your learning process. You're exposed to things that are going to occur throughout your life that you're going to start comprehending, like when it comes to ghosts and UFOs and all that kind of stuff. The church has a word that they like to use. It's called belief. And I was in the service, and when I was in the service, I learned about brainwashing. I learned how it's done, in certain key words that are used and the processes that they use to do it. And one of those things is, what is belief? Well, if you think about what that word means, what does it mean? You learn that from when you're growing up and you're a kid, the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, and all that. So it's really life. In other words, if you're going to believe something, then you're not going to need to understand it. It's a cop-out. I believe this, therefore I don't need to understand whatever it is you're talking about because I believe it. Do you believe in God? Oh yeah, I believe in God. I'm not an atheist, so I believe it. But what do you know about God? Do you have any understanding of the concept of what the Creator or what God is? Do you know God? And that's one of the things when people ask me that, do you believe in this or believe in that, or you believe in God? I say no. But I know in God, and I understand. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of the process, the learning process. You can't go from kindergarten to college and skip all the grades in between. So you have to go. That's kind of, I think, the Indian version, or close to it anyway. They think that you come from the lowest form up to the highest, and you have to go through each one to advance yourself. So I think it's kind of in the way I think too. And so as this process is happening throughout your life, things are going to start. You're going to start having like an awakening and opening, of your mind. You're going to be able to see auras. You're going to be able to see ghosts, or you're going to be able to see shadow people and this and that. But there's going to be people out there that want to keep you from understanding that and keep you from learning that. So what do? You go to the church, you ask, well, I'm seeing these shadow people, what's going on? Well, you know what, you need to say 10 Hail Marys, and you need to pray, and da-da-da-da, because most likely a lot of people will tell you it's evil, or it's this or it's that. Instead of sitting down with you, where's the person that sits down with you and says, what's happening is your mind is opening, and you're starting to this is a learning process. This is happening to you because your brain has developed to a point where you're capable of this now. In other words, your soul energy that was downloaded into your body is now suitable for you to understand this because you went through learning processes. But now in this life, you have that capacity. So you're not able to learn because there's not many people out there that would help you learn the process, and most of the people out there that you try to go to learn the process, they tell you a lot of the wrong things. It's either evil, you need to close the doorway, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to start going to church. Oh, were you baptized? So I guess what I'm trying to say is the process is being blocked in people. They're keeping people from understanding the truth and the gift, and that's my take on the whole thing. It's like it's happening to you because it's meant to. You're ready to start experiencing these things, and if you understand them, in other words, if they're there for you, it's because you're ready for them. And if you start to understand them in the correct way, because along with that gift or that ability or that evolution that's occurring to you, what goes along with that is a ability to process and understand it if you allow yourself to. Do you see what I'm saying? If you go to the church and they say, no, it's evil, then you're blocked from it. Because you heard that and you're like, oh, my God, I don't want to mess with that because if I go further with that, then it's going to destroy me. And therefore, you close the gift off and you have no understanding of it at that point, only but what you've been told. And I think each and every one of us have to try to understand it. If you have the gift and it's starting to happen to you, you have to try to understand it and understand it in the correct way. So
I agree with you. The word, and just to go back to in the very beginning when you were talking about the word belief or believe, I agree with you 100%. I mean, the word believe, I kind of believe in this, or I kind of believe that to be true. Believe to me is not 100% confident. It is not something that is completely solid within what you are formulating as what you truly think reality is. Belief or believe is the idea, to me, belief or believe is the idea that you understand it, but there's no proof. There's nothing that has been submitted to you that is convincing enough. The word I know, there's no turning back. There's no lesser. There's no higher. I know is you know. You know what it is. I know spirits exist. I know that there are UFOs out there. I know Bigfoot is wandering around. Believe. If you say believe, the word believe is sort of open-ended. It's not 100% confident. And I understand you completely, Lou, that the idea of, bringing up any of these topics or these experiences to the church, obviously they're going to say, go say the Hail Mary and we must cast out this demon from you. It is because, and I'm going to piss off people right now, the organized churches that do this, and I'm not saying all of them, but the organized churches that do this do not want you to be open. They do not want you to be free thinkers. They want you to be within their community and nowhere else. They want to build their home. They want to build their domain. And if you are thinking things that could possibly not be detrimental to the religion or the God of whatever it is that you have, but that is questionable to the idea of whether or not the religion or the God even exists, they don't want you going that direction for obvious reasons. And so they're going to tell you, you have to cast out that demon. That is sinful. That is very sinful. You are not abiding by this God. And so, therefore, it puts the doubt in you, and it, like you said, it closes that box up. It shuts that door for you to be able to understand and educate yourself on the reality of things. And that goes actually into my topic that I was discussing earlier. I think for me personally, going through within the paranormal field and being that investigator and putting aside any of the religious beliefs that I had or didn't have opened me up to the idea that these things are real, that there is a reality to this what people call a phenomenon. And it has questioned the things that I used to believe in. It hasn't completely ignored it, but, and because I believe, I shouldn't say I believe, I know that there is everything that people are talking about. There's some truth to all of these things, and that went back to one of our previous shows that we had, which was the origin of religion, and we had sort of touched on that a little bit. And believe it or not, we did piss off a lot of people, and we did get some really negative comments from that show because we were putting forth other alternative ideas to the idea of religion, and because people have been shut off, like you said, Lou, brainwashed, that they don't want to hear it because it is leading people in a direction that they are not comfortable with. And I think that is where it sort of all lays out. And so, to me, I agree with you 100%. I don't know what Luci feels, but I'm in 100% agreement with you.
No, I do agree. But what I see is that, okay, my disillusionment with organized religion came way before I truly was really into the paranormal, okay? I see it as control. And just what you were saying, Anthony, yes, it is control. How do you keep that control over your flock or over your followers? Well, if someone seems to think against the norm, and this isn't just religion. I mean, this goes into other ways. You know, it goes into government, it goes into politics, it goes into our learning. So we are bombarded with these beliefs and dogmas from childhood. So I see where a lot of people, it's hard to let go of those things that you've been taught from day one. And now all of a sudden you start to question something else. You start to question, well, why is this? You know, or is this, wait, that doesn't make sense. How about this? I think we have a natural instinct to question. I think that it's suppressed a lot through childhood. I think it's suppressed a lot through what people learn in school. I think a lot of people they have that fear of stepping outside of their comfort zone. And to learn something different, to learn what something really is scary for a lot of people. So, yes, I agree with both of you, but I also see where it's difficult for some people to actually even start the whole process of questioning.
Well, Lou, I have a question for you. You have experienced, I think, more than your fair share of encounters with a lot of different paranormal areas in your life, and I'm not sure for how long, but you have experienced a lot of different things that have gone on that are to what everybody else calls unexplainable or phenomena. Have you noticed a change in yourself, in the way that you think, the way that you have even relationships with your family or with friends since prior to, like, I think I remember your story. You had told us that this started at a young age with you, and so it may not be so relevant, my question, but have you noticed any sort of progression with anything about your thoughts, how you think, your stress levels, how you operate and function in the world, in business and at home? You know, has anything changed, or have you noticed anything, good or bad?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that it's changed me, and it's still changing me, and I think it's going to continue to change me until the day I die. I hope that it does. I hope that I keep learning in the way that I do, in the way that I am, in the experiences that I'm having. I think that it's changed me big time. I've learned in my way. Now, I think that everybody has to learn and understand in their own time and in their own way. But for me, for what it's done for me, is made me to understand the purpose. And the purpose is we're all here. We're put here. We were given these brains. We were given these bodies, our hands to work with, to learn, to experience the world, and to try to understand the things around us. That's what we're here for. I think that's why we were put here. And so it's changed me by way of, when I look at other people and the things that they're going through in life, whether it's relationships and, money, it's all about money and material things and this and that. It bothers me in a way because I realize that people are being led. I don't know if it's being led or they're living their life in the wrong way. They think it's all about one thing, or it's either money or it's whatever they're addicted to or whatever, but they're not understanding. But then I don't blame them for that because they haven't learned something. They haven't progressed. So people are here to learn. And if you understand that, if you realize that, wait, this person did something bad to me, and I hate them for it. You can't because you know what, you might have done that same thing, but just because you've learned it and you understand it because it was done to you and you wouldn't do it to somebody else, it's going to hurt you when it's done to you, but only because you know it now, because you've learned it, it's formed you, and it's put compassion into you. So if someone does something badly to me, the first thing that hits me is I think to myself, either something's wrong, they're mad, something's going on, they haven't gotten something, or they haven't learned something. So you know what, I look at it as we're out here in training day, and it's nothing personal. It's just that they haven't, they had that interaction with me, and if I handle it correctly, and it is like an example because I've already learned, then maybe they'll learn something from me. Maybe they'll get a little something because of the way I reacted to it. They'll say, well, maybe I did that wrong, or maybe I shouldn't have done that. There was a story I was telling somebody about it's just something happened a long time ago. It's just one instance. There was this kid that used to sit behind me in class when I was in school, and I don't know, this kid just did not like me. He just made stupid, comments all the time and stuff like that, but I would just ignore it and let it go. But I found out over time that not many people liked him. They used to knock his books down and stuff like that. So I was kind of I was real quiet in school and when I was in school. So I think he kind of singled me out because he knew that I wasn't a bad person. I wasn't going to punch him in the face, So he jumped on the opportunity. So anyway, one day I was sitting in front of him in class, and some other kid came by and knocked all of his books off the desk. So I got up and I picked them all up for him, picked all of his papers up, put them in the folder, put it on the desk, and he just kind of looked at me. He didn't say anything, and then he says, thanks. And then after that, we were friends. I mean, we talked, we hung out, and I think there was a huge change in him just because of that one, little thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I think that we're all learning, and if you've already learned something and somebody does something offensive to you, it's not a bad thing. It's nothing personal. They're just trying to learn, just like you did at one point in life. So it's changed me in that way.
So that brings up a question. Okay, how you're talking about, like, well, we learn to be compassionate and to, kind of like hope that this person learns something. Isn't there a natural reaction, though, when someone does something bad to you, where, what about that anger that rises up when something first happens to you? What about that I'm going to get him back? Is that something that you think is a natural thing for humans, or is it something that we're programmed to do?
I think it's a primitive response. I think that you react on an instant, and I think that's like an instinctive thing. It's a primitive thing. And do I think it's wrong or anything like that? No, I just think that it's like I was saying. I just think that you come to a point where all of a sudden you call it an epiphany. If you learn these things, and you go through life and you try to learn as you go when different things are happening, then I guess what I'm trying to say is, so your question was, is it bad or
is it bad to feel that anger when something happens?
No.
And the only reason why I say that is because I think of some of the spirits that are that are earthbound, and sometimes it seems as if some of these spirits are still carrying that grudge, or they still carry that anger about whatever has happened in their situation. So is this something that is innate to us? I mean, is this something that we have to actually teach ourselves to do?
Yes. I think that people get angry like that because they haven't learned. It's just because they haven't gotten past that point. It's
right.
A primitive response.
I agree with you, Lou, and I think to Luci's point, I think just because you've crossed over doesn't mean that you've been educated and you've learned. There's the idea that there's reincarnation, and so these spirits who still hold and harbor that anger and that ill will towards whatever it is, they're in waiting right now to either relive their life or move on to the next dimension where they will be taught what it is. I kind of equate this to, in what you were just talking about, Lou, I kind of equate that scenario of, somebody doing something bad to you and not being angered by it, and this sort of goes with what Lucy was just talking about, but the idea of, this whole idea of, and people are talking about this, the awakening. There are certain individuals who are going through the process of awakening right now, and there are some people who are not. And for the folks and the people who have, awakened their spirit, who have gone on to that next dimension, that next level here on Earth, they should not be condemning or intimidating or denigrating anybody who has not been.
Right, exactly.
Right. So the idea is that they just haven't been able to reach the point where they are awake, where they've been able to, quote unquote, see the light and understand a little bit more, to be elevated up to the level where the awakened have been or have been put to. And so I think, Lucy, your question was, is it wrong to still feel that anger or that retaliation if somebody does something bad to you?
Yeah.
I think, to me, like Lou was saying, it is a primitive thing. It is something that is innate in all of us. To act upon it is another thing. I think the idea that if somebody is doing something bad upon us, to me, because I understand a lot more than I ever did before, and it's just a natural progression with life. As you grow older, you learn more, you understand more, you go through a lot more than you do when you were 10 years old, and now you're 40 and 50. So to be able to have that knowledge within you, to then say or not get so upset or not have that anger towards someone, then becomes the natural feeling for that person, because they know already what that other person, where they're at what level and what stage they're at. And it's not to say that they're beneath them, but they're on a different level. They're not at the level of where you're at to be able to understand why they're doing it. And to me, it's almost as if you can sort of laugh it off and just say, I understand your anger, and move on, because they haven't been educated in that field. I think that's a really cool topic, Lou, to actually even discuss further.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's something that I've come to terms with throughout time and throughout the things that have been happening, and it's kind of like why would you it's like if you have kids, you allow them to learn. You've got to give them space. You've got to allow them to learn. You're not going to step on them. It's just not. You've got to allow them to learn, and you've got to allow them to grow up and figure it out, and so you got to give them that space. So it's like other people. It's kind of like the same kind of thing. They've got to learn. So why would you get mad at them? Why should you take offense just because they're doing it because they just don't understand. They just don't know. But that doesn't, like you said, Anthony, I don't take that as they're beneath you. They're family. I think that we're all family. I think that we're all created in the same light, and that we're all family. And I think that we should, you want those people that it's like family members. You don't want to lose your family members. Well, we're all created out of the same light. So to try to condemn them or say that they're learning. You had to go through it. We all got to go through the same process. So you nurture that process. You don't condemn it.
Right. It's like the expectation of expecting a 9-month-old to understand 12th grade math and to get angry at that baby because they don't understand it. You can't. You can't get angry at them. They have not been educated. They have not gone through the life. They have not gone through the stages enough to be able to understand that math, that 12th grade math. So, that's the way I look at it. I don't know if anybody else does, but that's the way I kind of look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great.
Well,
thank you so much, Lou.
Okay. Well, thank you, and you guys have a great weekend.
You
and,
too,
Thanks for
Lou.
calling, Lou.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you again on Facebook here soon. So.
Absolutely. We want to hear more of those stories of any more. I believe you had a recent UFO encounter, so we want to get to talking to you about that soon.
Okay. Cool.
All right, Lou. Take care.
All right. You too. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So, do you want to take the next caller?
Yes.
Noah, are you there?
Oh, but I am. You guys dreading me being online? I when I saw it was open line, I said I gotta call in and talk about something.
Of course.
It's been a very engaging show. I've really enjoyed what you guys have talked about so far.
All right, cool.
And I've had 4 different things in my head that I thought I'm going to talk about this, and this, but it's not on topic with what they're talking about.
Well, go ahead. We can change gears.
Can we change gears?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Well, let me go with this one first. Something I've been thinking about. I signed up for a free trial with Netflix, and I've watched every paranormal show they have available. And they're all very interesting, of course, and engaging. I love them. I'm glued to them. But something that I thought about, because I saw a documentary about this, which I would like to see more, is a lot of people, we investigate demonic activity, dead people. I would really like to see serious investigations with, like, celestial beings, like with angels, when people claim to have visitations from angels or from a saint or even, from the goddess Kali in India. I would really like to see people doing EVPs, using the infrared cameras, trying to capture beings of light, just not for a change of pace, but, we want proof of life after death. But at the same time, I would like proof of other entities that I've sensed and felt and experienced, but to actually see that captured, I think would be amazing. I've seen a few videos, but they always seem so cheesy and fake. It's like, there was an angel in our hospital room, and basically it was a light coming in through a window, and it was really weak, very weak. But that's something I've thought about. I would really like to see a TV show, because, I could investigate it, but I'd like to see that, because there's this, he is a neurologist, and he has been doing studies on Buddhist monks. He did one on Buddhist monks, shamans, and also on people who are Pentecostal or Southern Baptist, and studied their brain patterns. And it was amazing what their brains did. When they went into that state, what happened is their frontal lobes stopped working, which those give you, I guess, your sense of self, of your mortality, your awareness of you occupy space, and it went into the center of the brain where they totally lost sense of self. And it didn't matter what religion or persuasion they were of, but it had the same neurological pattern. And so I thought about that. I thought it'd be really interesting to see somebody seriously investigate claims of, I've seen angels, or I've heard from, or I see Guan Yin, the bodhisattva in Buddhism of compassion, something like that. Have you guys thought about that, or do you think that's hokey? It won't hurt my feelings. But that's something I've been thinking about lately.
No, you know what? That's not hokey at all. But I agree with you. There's few and far between of things like that, and I agree. The things that are out there are they are cheesy, and I don't know if it's because I don't think it's not that people don't believe, but I just don't think that anyone has really addressed it, because part of me, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, it won't sell. I mean, what do people want to see? They want to see the demonic. They want to see, shows with activity, and something evil. And I don't know if it's a fascination with the dark side, as opposed to actually investigating and seeing the light. Now, another thing that I think about is that, you've got people like Doreen Virtue, who is supposed to be like the angel lady, and then you've got others that claim that they talk to angels. And so how does one actually go about documenting that? How do you prove to someone else that you have made contact with an angel, or that angel is there? I think maybe that could be something that's stopping it, but it's something that I really would love to see.
Well, and you know what, Lucy? I'm sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, my personal feelings with Doreen Virtue, I think she's a flake. I don't buy it. Whatever she's selling, I don't buy it. It's a brand, and even her guided meditations, they grate on my nerves. But I think that, as with any spiritual energy, somebody said it to me like this one time at a metaphysical store in Chicago. The owner, the woman, she said that, around us, this whole atmosphere, the whole firmament, is loaded with entities of every kind. Mm-hmm. And I think we by dwelling on certain types, we manifest those. And I've had so many paranormal experiences with different types of entities, but like you said, it could be a hard sell with the positive stuff. But
right.
I mean, there has to be, if there's, it's just the law of opposites. If you've got demons, you're going to have these positive things, or jinn, or whatever label your culture puts on it. They're by default, I think that there has to be the other, and I would love to see that kind of thing documented, not by some California crunchy Doreen Virtue, I'm wearing a Renaissance dress, and I've got another deck of cards you can use that are going to make you feel good. And
you don't want to see it from a business.
No, not a business point of view, but an authentic point of view. I would really like to see that type of thing, because go ahead, Anthony. Your turn. Go.
No. I just wanted to, because I'm trying to. I have so many things running in my mind right now. How do you, or let me ask you this first question. What is it that you want to see investigated, or how do you want the end result to come through? Is it in the same manner that you see the other shows and not just television, but groups out there within EVPs or video recording, or as you were talking about it, as far as the documentation and the scientific method of understanding or getting to the root of angelic or celestial beings, or did you want to see something like an EVP or recording of an angelic voice?
All of the above, because I'm going to tell you guys, I call myself a religious kind of explorer. I think that, for example, and maybe you've been there, Lucy, in Chinatown in Chicago, they have a Zen Buddhist temple with beautiful statues of different. They have Avalokiteshvara, and that statue, the first time I saw it, it brought me to my knees, and I felt spirit so heavily in there, and I felt it, in very unusual places, churches, synagogues. I went to the opening of a mosque, Hindu temples. I felt that same divinity there, and to actually pick up an EVP or even a mist or a fog or some kind of form, I think would be, to me, it would be as transformative as, knowing there's life after death, knowing that there are other beings out there too that protect us, that guide us, and to actually have an EVP or an image or just some kind of proof. I think a lot of people, I don't know, some people would like that, because I love the dark stuff too. and I don't consider ghost dark at all. That to me that's uplifting. But the celestial realm, I really think that's kind of an untapped territory when it comes to paranormal investigation.
Well, I really like that you mentioned the temple, because I can honestly think, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but here on the north side of Chicago, just like, there's the Baha'i Temple. I know nothing about this religion. I know nothing about their beliefs. I do know that that is one of the most beautiful and peaceful places I've ever been to. And I have driven past there and just gone there and sat there and felt so exactly what you described, that you know, that sense of peacefulness. Now, another place is St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans. When I'm telling you,
speaking my language right there.
When I walked into that cathedral for the first time, I burst into tears. There are, you know, the two angels that are at the back of the pews when you first go in.
Oh yeah, I scooped up that holy water and threw it on myself.
Yes,
with the shells or holding shells.
Yes. I am telling you, the presence that is in that cathedral. And here we go back to, you know, maybe I don't agree with organized religion, but I do believe that there is something beautiful and something not of this world inside that cathedral.
And you know what? I agree. And we've talked about organized religion. I can't stand it. What I love, though, is I think that people are disillusioned. The nuns, I think I mentioned that before on another show, people that don't subscribe to any particular denomination or faith, it's growing because we're tired of control. Even with Buddhism, I thought they were liberating. Zen Buddhism, with all the rules and the same with Tibetan and all the molesting, it's just like the Catholic Church. It's got the same baggage. But the beautiful part is the revelations that people get and the devotions they do, and I think that regardless of human interpretation, I think that those forces exist despite that. And they exist pretty much above what other people interpret. Those are just tiny interpretations of a much bigger reality. And like you mentioned, the Baha'i Temple, I've never been there, and I've had so many people say to go there. But I have been to Queen of Angels. Lucy, have you been there?
No, and I used to live near there.
Oh my gosh, Queen of Angels, if even the most unreligious person, just the beauty of the church with the life-size angels all staring down rather than gargoyles scaring you is breathtaking. And they have a lot of the old statues in there, and there is such a presence there that even if you don't believe, I mean, there's a sacredness that anybody could go in there, you would feel something. And I think that, you know, I like to see all sides of spirituality, and I really, again, to be redundant, I'd like to see some serious investigation of that stuff, because I think people might be shocked at what they see. Like, for example, Pope John Paul. I don't pledge allegiance to any pope or anybody, but the second miracle needed for his canonization just happened. And if somebody would investigate that, I'd like to see. I mean, do they pick up anything? Is there any residual image of him or his energy or an EVP? I would just be very curious.
Well, here's my question, though. Does anyone, Lucy or Noah, do either of you think that, you know, celestial beings and angelic spirits are not at the locations other than what you guys were just discussing right now, in other locations and have been recorded and have been documented? It's just we don't know it, or we're not classifying it as celestial or angelic. It's just being classified as a spirit entity.
You know what? I have to comment on that. It's funny you would say that. I was watching Destination Truth, some of their past episodes on Netflix, and I kind of thought that. what they were seeing as, here's a spirit, I thought, well, maybe not. I mean, that could be. So maybe it's, it's a matter of interpretation, because it's a spirit. If you've got all the equipment set up, you're going to catch whatever spirits come through, good, bad, benign, trapped or lost souls, what have you. And I think they could be. But again, I think with the law of attraction, you attract what you're looking for, and it would be good to see an intentional, okay, this is exactly what we're looking for, and just to see what happens, for me at least. I can't speak for Lucy.
Well, no, I you know what, I don't believe that if there are angelic or celestial beings, that they just don't stay in these places. But I do feel their presence there, and I do, in my own heart, I do believe that they're around us all the time. I believe that, I still believe in the guardian angels, and I still believe in all of that. And I know a lot of that is programming from a child. But I also know that there is something there, and something that I can feel. Like you said, Noah, you've been feeling them. I can feel them. I think some of the things that we come across that we classify as paranormal could actually be these beings. I mean, if you look at religion, Holy Spirit, Spirit, Ghost, I think it crosses all lines, and I don't think that there's a set, okay, well, this has to be religious and this isn't, I don't think that's it. I don't
either.
It's all one big thing, and because this entity is classified as Buddhist, that this is going to stay just there. No, I think it's global. I think it's all over. So I think maybe our contact with some of these beings is misclassified. Where people will take it, and the only thing that they understand is that, okay, this is an entity, this is a ghost. Well, yeah, it's definitely something that is not of this world, but I think we misclassify a lot of the experiences that we have.
Well, how do you I guess portray the difference between a quote-unquote normal spirit and something that is celestial without getting religion involved?
Wow, that's the 1,000-pound question, and that's the thing I try to avoid. I try to avoid, because as soon as you label it, definitely there's religious connotations, and which I despise, and I don't want that.
Right.
Because what we call an angel, the Buddhists call dakinis, or other people that may be atheist or agnostic. I mean, they may just say, it's, or they may feel it's a loved one that's looking out for them.
Right. So, like, what's the resume of an angelic being? What's the resume of something that's celestial? Regardless of the denominations, what is the underlying meaning of an angel or a celestial being that is different than, say, I crossed over tomorrow? What would be the difference?
I'm going to take a stab at this.
Well, Anthony is an angel, so I don't think that's a fair question.
I'll send you $20 in the mail, Noah.
No, but seriously, one of my spirit guides is actually a relative, and I've had that confirmed by 3 mediums who knew nothing about me. And to an outsider, if they picked up on it, they could say that's an angel, that's this relative, or what have you. I don't know. I guess my whole point is this: not to further religion. It's to further our understanding of the other side, and to know the difference, which I think is probably, to go back to what you guys were talking about with Lou, is more about knowing than believing. You know, and that may be segregated to the people that are actually doing the investigation. They know what the entity is. They can sense it. They're intuitive enough where they can kind of discern if it's a lost soul or just a spirit that wants to stay around. demonic, that's a whole other issue. I mean, that's pretty much self-explanatory with that. I mean, you're getting scratched, you can't breathe, things like that. But I'm rambling now, so I think I've used it.
Well, I'm curious to hear what Luci has to say.
What I was going to say is I think it comes down to intent. I think it comes down to the intent of the entity. Now, you've got entities that obviously are negative, and their intent is nothing of good. But then you've got others that there is a sense of goodness. There is a sense of well-being. There is a sense of trying to help or to, I don't know, make things better. But I don't think there's a definite, you can say this one is an angel and this one is a demon. I think it boils down to intent. And
well, then, I mean, with that argument, then it would be either the spirits that we're interacting with, they're either angels or demons. There's, I mean, if you want to classify it, really, it's either the two. So there's no quote-unquote normal spirit in your world, Luci. It's either you're an angel or a demon. So when we cross over, do we become angels because, I've got good intentions, I become an angel? Or an angelic being?
Of course you do.
Yeah. Yes, you are an angel. Okay, I know what you're getting at. Yes, you are an angel, okay?
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. I mean, because I don't think that we truly know exactly what it is. But why? Why is it that some feel so much different than the others? And why is it that you've got this feeling of knowing when you kind of come in contact with some?
But see, that's when I think it comes down to your religion, your, and I will say the word, your belief in that factor. And so because you've been, and what Lou was talking about before, you've been brainwashed to think about all of the things that, or you've been taught all these things in the holy books of any religion that you want to think of what a quote-unquote angelic or celestial being is supposed to act and look like. And it's you, Luci, are interpreting that into the differences between a celestial body and, Joe Smith crossing over. I think...
Well, okay, one thing I want to say is that I think this is part of my fascination with the astral projection, of being able to go to that plane where you can come in contact, or what I'm hoping is that you can come in contact with beings not of this dimension. And I think to actually be able to see and to find out, I mean, for some reason I feel like there's an answer there. There definitely is an answer there. And it's an answer that I want to try to get while I'm here on this side, as opposed to going to the other side and getting that answer. I would like to know now. And my gut feeling is telling me that part of that answer could be with the astral projection to that plane where we don't see on a daily basis. We can feel it. We kind of know it's there, but we haven't actually seen it. And listening to some of the people that say that they have gone to this plane and that they've experienced it, there's definitely something there, because the experiences sound very similar. I think some people may be, they may embellish, they may not be sure of what they've seen, but my gut is telling me that the answer may be there. I don't have a definitive answer, and that's what I'm searching for.
I don't think you'll ever have the answer, to be perfectly honest, until you do cross over. I think even with astral projecting, you're only getting a certain amount that is being allowed for you to accept or to receive.
Yeah, I understand that.
Right? So I don't think we will ever find the answer, but I think it's the matter of, and I guess this is what Noah's strive is for, is to see more, to experience more of things that we could possibly see. And Noah, your request is to hopefully get some documentation on something that's celestial, something that's other than what you normally see on television today, that has some sort of, or I guess has more of a meaning to you, or to help uplift and elevate you to a better understanding of the paranormal.
Very good. I would agree with that summation, absolutely.
Okay.
You guys are great. I'm not going to stay on the line the rest of the time, of course.
Well, wait. No. I have one very important question to ask you. Since you've been downloading Netflix, have you watched my episode on Haunted Encounters?
No. You're on one?
And you watched every episode on Netflix?
Obviously not. Which one are you on?
I'm on I think it's the third episode of Haunted Encounters, going back to Eastern State Penitentiary.
I will look that up, and I'll even take screenshots, and I'll frame them, and light candles to it. No, that's cool. That's very cool. I can't wait.
You got to make the altar. You got to do everything.
You have to have a shrine.
And I'll send you a picture of it. This guy really creepy. Very cool.
Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Noah. I love when you call in. You've got some really great insight and opinions and thoughts, and always uplifting whenever we get you on the air. So thank you.
You guys rock. Thank you for everything. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Noah. Have a great one.
Love you.
Bye-bye. Love you, too.
All right. I had to ask him. I mean, he said he watched every Netflix on Paranormal. Got to get him.
Oh my God.
All right, so what did you think?
I love talking to our listeners. I really do. I mean, and again, every time we address a question, there's a million more questions that come up. It happens every single time.
You know, I have to honestly say, I've looked, I'm sorry, I've clicked on other Blog Talk Radio shows within the paranormal and spiritual side, or I guess the category that they have, and which honestly I don't agree with how they categorize paranormal under hobbies. But
yeah, I don't like that either.
Yeah, so I've listened to other shows, sometimes just to get maybe some insight and see what other people are talking about, and maybe even get some ideas for topics or even for guests or things of that nature. And I have to honestly say that we have the best listeners. We have the most intelligent, most thought-provoking, spiritual listeners out of, I think, any of the other paranormal shows that I have listened to on Blog Talk Radio. I mean, it's almost sometimes laughable on the other shows, and I don't want to, nitpick and fight or whatever, but I honestly have to say it because I don't get this response when I listen to other shows. I don't get people like Noah or like Lou on these other radio shows that bring some meat to the table. And I truly do appreciate all of our listeners who either listen live or on archive because, we are global, and so some people obviously can't listen to us live because it's like 4 a.m. somewhere in the UK or wherever, in Australia, and they tell us that they listen to us in the archive. So we really do appreciate everyone who is listening and who calls in or emails us. I mean, you guys are the best. And when Luci says that every night, when she says that you guys rock, she means it, I mean it, we both mean it with all of our hearts. I mean, you guys are what make the show and what make us keep moving and keep going. We always have you in our minds when we're thinking about topics and guests. Are they going to like this person? I don't think this is good enough for them. And we base and we judge how we do the show based on you guys. So every now and then, this is why we like to open up our lines and give you guys the opportunity to talk. 24/7, we have our email open, so you can always email us at paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com or go on our Facebook page at Paranormal Review Radio and make a comment or discuss a topic. We love it. You know, there's a lot of times that Luci and I post on there about some articles that we've read, just to engage where people are at and what their reactions are, and then sometimes base what our next show will be about upon the reactions or even just how many likes have been hit on one posting that we've done. And so you guys, even though it's not a paranormal open mic night, you guys are still running the show here, and everything that we do, it is based upon what you guys want to hear and what you guys want to know about more.
I have to say that I am consistently amazed. I am so amazed at the people that listen to us, the people that follow us, the people that post on our page, because I'm in awe of these people. I mean, you guys, Anthony, how many times have I said it? These people are amazing, and it truly is an honor that you take the time to even listen to us. And yes, I've listened to some of the other shows, and you know, not to, like it says, not to down anybody. I can't listen for long lengths of time, but yet our own show, I can go back and I can listen to it. You know, sometimes it's painful when I hear myself, but sometimes it is just absolutely amazing because of the things that we find and the things that we're learning and the connections that we're making, both in our fans and in the guests. This is truly one of the best experiences ever. And you, the listener, help to make this awesome. I mean, every week it gets better and better. It really does. And having the best co-host in the whole world helps too, but
do I have to send you $20 now too? I have to send Noah.
Yes.
All right. This
so
show,
get
this
that
show
cash
was,
flowing.
Yeah, I know. I got to keep the cash flowing. This show was really fun because the topic that I had brought up and the topic that you first brought up were sort of really interesting to me personally. I love your story or your topic, Luci, about haunted objects, and we really didn't get a chance to get into that. But was there anything that you wanted to make sure that people knew about your story about haunted objects and whether it being a steal or a scam, or, you know, why people, you know what, we should have asked Noah and Lou if they've ever purchased any items or what their opinions were on that. But was there anything that was left out that you wanted to get across to our listeners?
No, not really, but, you know, that's why we have our show page and that's why we have email. I still really am curious as to find out why people would buy a haunted object and just what they think about it. I mean, it just amazes me, the fact that these things are out there and people are making money off of it. And I think the bottom line is what I really want to know is I want to know how people feel about making money from what we call the paranormal. I think somehow it really does bother me because it just seems like it's cheapening the whole what we do. I mean, we've said this before. We're not doing this to become famous. We're not doing this to make $1 million. We're doing this because we truly love the paranormal. We truly love talking about it, and we truly love learning. And how do you learn? You learn by talking. You learn by the connections that you make. So I think my whole thing about bringing up that topic was just the bottom line that it does bother me. It bothers me that some people feel the need to make money. Like I said, even with Doreen Virtue, I appreciate what she's doing, and I appreciate if she has this true connection to the angels. But it bothers me that it's a business, and it bothers me that, oh, here's this new whatever, and it's only going to cost you $99.99. That part of it bothers me. So I just want to know how other people feel about it.
Well, does it bother you that Gary Gulka makes equipment and sells it? equipment for paranormal investigators and sells it to them. Does that bother you, or is it just the fact that people are using the word haunted to sell products?
I think it's more using the word. Now, like as far as Gary goes, that's his business. That's how he makes money. And I think that, he didn't start a company just to make the millimeter. His company was already in existence. I think there's a difference. I think when you have certain people that all of a sudden, I've done a stint here on a certain thing, and now I'm going to sell T-shirts that have, this, or I'm going to sell, washcloths that have, a certain phrase on it. I think that's the part that bothers me, using the word paranormal in order to make a profit.
Well, see, it's sort of
that's a show subject.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it goes back to, and I just lost my train of thought. It was going back to what Lou had stated. I don't like when people use the word haunted to describe something that they're selling. I don't mind the people that are selling the T-shirts that say, I just EVP'd, or, like all these other things that are out there. I don't mind it because it's showing that actually paranormal is becoming, as sort of pathetic as it is at this stage, is becoming more mainstream. And, stuff like this would probably never have flew off the shelves 25 years ago. And so to see it now where people are opening up stores and selling things with ghosts and stuff like that on the T-shirt or on a pocketbook or whatever it is, I don't find that horrible. And, people are going to buy it because the object that they want is something that they live with every day. And so, the knapsack that has the skull on it, I would love it, because it's something that I like, and it's my world. I don't have a problem with people like that, but it's the idea of using the word haunted or demonic even when they're trying to portray something that it is, to me, that's not right. And it goes back to what Lou was saying before, that I'm not going to downgrade them or denigrate or, intimidate these people that do that, because I'm better than that. I understand more than they do. And so hopefully things will come full circle and people will as a majority, as a mass, will not buy those products anymore, and they'll go away. There's a lot of people that used to say that the Inquirer magazine, how funny those stories and how comical they were and how gossipy they were, and probably mostly not true. People hoped that the Inquirer would go away. And at one point it was a big fad to buy the Inquirer magazine, but now it really isn't anymore. And I don't even think they even have the Inquirer, if I'm not mistaken. But
they still do. I just bought it.
You just bought the Inquirer?
Yes, I still do buy it.
We have to talk. But I can't change anybody. I'd be wasting my breath if I were to call up that person and say, you better stop selling these things on eBay that says haunted, this haunted mirror, this haunted brush, or whatever it is. I'd be wasting my breath because they're not at the level where they're going to understand me. And it's something that people have to, I guess, through life get educated on. And that's not going to happen at the moment that they're selling the product, because they're only seeing, like Noah was saying, dollars. They're only seeing money.
Right.
So it bothers me, but it's not consuming me. It's not getting me to the point where I want to be angry towards them. And that goes, again, back to what you were saying. There's a lot of full circles tonight, Lucy.
There
a lot
are
of full circles. And I'm telling you, that's why we always say that the paranormal, everything within the paranormal is connected. Everything is connected.
Yes, it is. Because as we go along, I'm finding so many things that we come across that have some kind of tie to either something we've just talked about or we've done or we've experienced.
One of the things, and before we continue with the show with our normal routine, one of the things that I just wanted to mention here on air was from the website that I had found this at, which was Alchemy Lab, which was the alchemy of paranormal, the meaning of the paranormal. And they tried to explain some similarities, some synchronicity within the paranormal. And I thought this was really interesting because, again, it's something that is not so profound, but I never thought of it in this way. And they were talking about the characteristics of what they called exceptional human experiences. And what everybody else dubs as paranormal, they call it exceptional human experiences. And so one of the characteristics that they tried to describe here was the phenomena of light. And the reason why I'm bringing it up was because Lou had mentioned it before when he called in talking about light. And this is really interesting, and I just want to read this one or two sentence, I think it is. Okay. The first characteristic common to most types of paranormal encounters is the manifestation of light. In fact, light itself becomes the fabric of these experiences. Phenomena of light include glowing apparitions, luminous visions, fiery floating globes with brilliant hues, pulsating UFOs, tunnels of light, and blinding white light. It's funny how the word light is being described with a majority of the paranormal areas that reside in the paranormal world, how light has such a connection with everything. And, when I was reading that, I kind of said, when you talk about UFOs, there's always the word light in the sentence, whether it's this glowing orb or flashing lights. When we talk about spirits, it's always this light that we see, the flashes of light, or this orb of light, the tunnel, what they were talking about here, the tunnels of light. It's, the near-death experiences about going through this tunnel towards this light. I just found this fascinating to, again, they just put it out here in a sentence or two, but it really does make sense that there is this synchronicity within the paranormal, and the connection is light. And how Lou was talking about before, that we are all light beings. We are all made and came from light, energy. That's basically what it all is. And so we just touched on it 2 seconds ago, that there is and there are similarities within the paranormal, whether we know it consciously or not. It is there. And I think those are the answers that we are all trying to find, is what is the same, what is similar. And in order to if we're able to say that things are similar and that there's a consistency going on, then hopefully, and prove it, then hopefully science will be able to come on board and be able to back these findings and back these theories. One of the things that really did fascinate me, and I think it was in the same article, I have like 30 pages here, Lucy, so I can't find it right now. But one of the things that really they had talked about was that we as humans right now only understand 5% of the universe. 5% of the universe. So how can we, as human beings and as the scientists roam this world right now, say that the other 95% cannot be a phenomena that we cannot explain, that it cannot be something that is of paranormal descent or of a paranormal characteristic detail? How can they say that if we only understand 5% of the universe? I think that is something that people should think about, or to use in a debate against scientists or people who want to bring up the scientific facts and the skeptics out there. Well, you know what? You only understand 5% of your world, your field. If you only know 5% of your field, how are you to tell me that my field, my world, does not exist? that I'd love to leave with everybody tonight.
I think it's interesting that you brought up that point about science and the paranormal, and I will elaborate on that further. But speaking about light when you're talking, the only thing that I can think about was going back to Eastern State Penitentiary. And do you remember that little green light that I saw coming out of one of the cells? To me, that was amazing, and that was light. And there was no explanation for it. There was nothing that we could debunk it with, but it was there. And I saw it, you saw it, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful, and it was light.
I love it. This is a great show, Luci. Thank you so much for bringing forth that topic. I think I want to thank Noah and Lou and all our listeners out there, but we have about 5 minutes left. So, Luci, hit it.
Okay. Let's go to the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. And this week, our Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week, had a pause there so I could say it right, is Reverend Gordy Cowell of Lansing, Michigan. Reverend Gordy is an ordained minister originally from Havana, Cuba. Reverend Gordy states, "I am a spiritual being having a human experience. My purpose is to be a universal service and serve humanity. Most people don't realize how active the angels or spirits are in our lives. They are always working on our behalf. They don't judge us. They will often say that we don't need to be hard on ourselves. We just need to ask for their help, as they are ready to help us to move forward in life." We are honored to have Reverend Gordy as a fan. Congratulations on being the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week.
Yeah, congratulations, Reverend Gordy. And don't forget, if you want to be a Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week, just like us on our Facebook page. That's all you got to do, Paranormal Review Radio.
Well, you know what? Tonight was the perfect example as to why we do this show. We've always said that we have the most well-informed, intelligent, and fun listeners around. It was a great discussion. And, you know, you don't have to wait for a paranormal discussion tonight to add your voice. As Anthony said before, you can always post on our Facebook show page. You can send us an email or, during a live show, add to the discussion through the chat room. Keep letting us know what you think, what you want to hear, and what you feel about the paranormal. We do want to thank our callers. And you know what, guys? You were the real stars of this show. Now, one topic that we touched on tonight and that we've discussed about on a few previous shows, again, is how the scientific community has not exactly embraced the paranormal. You know, most scientists have been very skeptical about the activity that occurs because of the lack of demanding documentation that science does require. Well, you know, that way of thinking may be changing. What if there was a hypothesis about the universe that mandates the existence of supernatural phenomena? Our guest next week has written a book that presents an argument for the existence of supernatural phenomena based on math and science. James D. Stein has a doctorate in mathematics from the University of California at Berkeley. He is the author of more than 30 research articles in mathematics and has served on several state and national committees on mathematics education. Several years ago, he started writing books on mathematics and science, including The Paranormal Equation, a new scientific perspective on remote viewing, clairvoyance, and other inexplicable phenomena. He will be joining us next Friday night to talk about his book. Now, is the paranormal one step closer to scientific acceptance? Be here next Friday night and find out. We want to thank all of you, our listeners and our new fans. You know, every week that number is growing. Welcome, everyone, to the PRR family. Anthony, thank you for being the best paranormal partner anyone could ask for. So, dear Parapeeps, gather up those theories and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio.